And then we want let's see, control it with velocity, I reckon. Should control it with turn rate. We want a speed scale. Go play. I don't think it's going to work how I want it to just yet. I don't even think I'm going to be able to see it happening. Doesn't look like it. Let's go track left. As you can see, when you change velocity, it will make the grid and stuff move. Because my max value is a little bit high. The ground will move. Because I don't have a texture, I can't see if it's working properly. Yeah, that worked well. Data source. Because it's trying to get from the wrong folder. That's helpful. Alright, I'll make another video with locomotion for tracks and stuff. If you start playing around and you start to get the idea that you have all your variables and your states and stuff, it just controls all your effects. If you want an animation to play without scaling on something, you just set it up with a requirement. How would I'd need to have a, just for reference, locomotion, like, oh, source, animation, destination, yep, that should do it. Alright, so, and then what that require, actually I'll just keep going. So what that should do is start off locomotion, and then it'll keep checking the whole locomotion area for velocity and turn rate, and then move further down that tree as it requires. I'll have to come back to that. What else can I do at the moment? Mesh selectors. So if I want a different barrel to be visible, we usually run them off states. Occasionally you can use, there's an action which randomly assigns a value to a variable, which you can use to control hats and stuff a lot easier. I'll do a quick demo of that in a minute. Let's just call it turret. Alright, so we need to work out, okay, so we go, okay, we want a turret barrel to be dependent on this selector, and we want to change the variety name, turret upgrade. So what that means is that mesh will only be visible when variety name is equal to turret upgrade, and that's how you set up a mesh selector. And you pretty much just go, oh yeah, okay, I only want these things visible or whatever. You can, severely limit how much is showing for your mesh selectors. You can set this off states, all sorts of things. I'm pretty sure if I go death state, a death event rather, as soon as that's triggered, the whole thing will become visible. It won't reset now. Even when I hit play. The idea is death will obviously only be triggered once. So as soon as that's triggered, you use that to turn your rec and stuff on. You have death, not death. and then when death happens, okay, that didn't work. That's why you have a fancy rec state. Or healthy, I think. Healthy and wrecked. And then we'll include a death action. I don't know what's happening. My cursor stopped working. Set state. And then we can go wrecked. We put that in there, and then when that's triggered, state wreck or healthy, because that's a healthy mesh, and then you'd set the wrecked mesh to require that it equal to resh, and then when that's triggered, it'll disappear and swap over. That should change now, I don't know why it's not. But the effect's still working properly. That's how you play around with mesh selectors. Marker groups. Okay, so if you want an effect to occur from certain markers, you can select them in here. And I'll just call it markers all. And slack. If I come back to my actions, if I go self marker, markers all, what that should do is it will trigger from one of these at random, and it will only pick from those selections. So if you want it to be at random but you don't want it to choose from anything, you only want it to choose from certain things, then you just pick a couple of markers in a marker group, and then put that marker group's name into the marker section of the effects. And that's how you set up a markers group. LED selectors. Let's just go. If I tickle these, I should be able to. Oh, hang on, what was it, max? Minimum range, rather. Let's check. I don't know. It never works for me. The idea is that they're only supposed to be visible from these set ranges. I can never get them to work properly. Most of the time, you just model stuff and just go, yeah, that'll be cool. That'll work fine from whatever range. It never works for me. As you can see, the wheels and stuff aren't disappearing. I'll get further away. What's imposter will do? I have no idea what that actually does. Yeah, LEDs, not worth a lot of effort. Better off using mesh selectors. Okay, so what else do we have to play around with here? I think that's more or less it. Yeah. For your rec and stuff to appear, you just have your rec mesh set up with a mesh selector to be determined by your rec. For upgrade meshes, you just have it determined by your upgrade state. If you want to make random variations, it's quite straightforward. Well, it's a bit of work. Work out how many variations you want. So if you want 10 different variations, create a new action. I'll just call it variation. Trigger on startup. Set random variable. between 0 and 10. And then when you hit play, you should be able to see it change. Whenever it starts up, it'll randomly assign a variable. As you can see there, it's changing every time. And then in here we just go mesh selector. Oh, because I've got everything assigned to a turret, I can't assign it to other mesh selectors. So if you want stuff that's always visible, you can't have it in a mesh selector. Mesh selectors are only for temporarily visible stuff. If you have a lot of variations, you have to make sure they're all set so that they're only visible when they're healthy and stuff as well. Let's go variation 1. I can't copy and paste them, which makes this a rather long process when you think about it. So variable range. Let's go random variation between 0 and 1. That'll work. That'll do the trick. Chassis. Let's go variation 2. Variable range again. Random variation between 1 and 2. And go, I don't know, just pick some more stuff. But basically, what will happen then is your random variable will get assigned when it starts up, and then as soon as it's between that variable range that you set, I'm going to change that between 5 and 10 because there's only 2 of them. You can have your random variable of any size, but every time you hit play, it'll randomly it'll change that variable and you'll get random setups. Useful if you have like extra little effects like fuel tanks or stuff, but you want them to be just randomized for a bit more uniqueness to each unit. Stuff like hats and body armor on infantry is a big one. I think that's it. You just sit there and play around until you're happy with what it looks like and that everything's working. When you hit play and just stuff around and whatever. As you can see, that's still set to a beam of light. There's heaps of effects to play around with. But I'm not too certain how to attach sound effects at the moment. You've got heaps and heaps of stuff. You can call actions from within other actions. You can change variables from an action. Effects orphan, you want to use that for shell casings. If I go, as you can see here, it's spewing out. Normally you'll have a separate marker for shell casings than for let's go HLMG bone, not HLMG bone, HLMG. I'll hit play and retick that box. As you can see, it spews out and it has the same orientation. But the thing about orphaning is you'll notice if I change it, the effect will play from that position. It won't follow the marker until it's triggered again. And the reason you do it like this is obviously you fire and then it turns, and then the next time it fires, it won't follow, hopefully. Whereas if I go, I'll just change this one actually. Effects, attach, weapons. And then as the as it moves, it'll fly around with it. depending on the effects, it may be more or less helpful. Basic rule of thumb is anything you don't want to follow the whole thing, use an orphan. Most of the shell effects actually aren't too bad. It's just good habit to not have it still linked. What else do I have? All these physics, sphere explosions, cube explosions will affect everything. An explosion will knock down trees and stuff like that. You can change team colors from within Object Editor. Attaching and detaching skeletons. All sorts of stuff you can play around with. Takes a while to get used to everything, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll just delete all this and do a quick wheel setup. So, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Oh, nope. Okay, so normally with a I want. Actually, you'll only have. You should only need 2 animations for wheeled vehicles. One animation for your forward movement, and one for your turning, and excuse me. One for your turning and one for your locomotion. They'll both be startup nodes because they'll run from the start. Tracks are actually pretty difficult to set up when you think about it. Basically what you do is you just have your locomotion set up there, loop, speed scale based off velocity. What that will do is as velocity changes, if velocity is positive, the wheels will be moving forward faster. If it's negative, it'll be moving backwards. And then because of how you set up the bones to turn, you'd set up your pretty much do the same, except you'd base it off turn rate. As turn rate changes, your wheels will turn depending on how fast forward or back you're going. Then your velocity and whatever will change as well, and then everything is controlled through Mod Studio. Yeah, tracks require a decent setup. I think that's it. It's just, yeah, work out what you want to do, plan it, go for it. Make a list of what states and variables you'll want or need. Comes in handy. If you keep a list of what does what, then if you happen to pass it on to someone else who's setting up in Mod Studio, they'll have a full list of everything to go from if they don't have Object Editor installed and set up and whatever. But yeah, that's a fresh RGO from Object Editor. Thanks for watching.